Welcome. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of production and economics. Whether you're a business owner, student, or just curious, understanding how production decisions are made can help you see why companies operate the way they do. We'll explore the differences between short-run and long-run production and why these concepts matter for businesses of all sizes. Let's start by defining what production means and why it's a central concept in economics. Production is the process of transforming inputs like labor, capital, and raw materials into finished goods or services. Every business, from a small bakery to a large car manufacturer, engages in production. The choices they make about how to combine resources affect their costs, efficiency, and ultimately their profits. Understanding production helps us see how businesses respond to changes in demand, technology, and resource availability. In economics, we often distinguish between the short run and the long run when analyzing production. These terms don't refer to specific time periods, but rather to the flexibility businesses have in changing their resources. Let's break down what each means and why the distinction is important for decision making. Short run is a period during which at least one input, like capital or factory size, is fixed. Businesses can adjust some resources, such as labor or raw materials, but can't easily change others. For example, a bakery can hire more workers or buy more flour, but it can't instantly expand its kitchen. This limitation shapes how firms respond to changes in demand or costs in the short run. The long run, all inputs are variable. Businesses have enough time to change everything about their production process, from the size of their factory to the technology they use. This flexibility allows firms to fully adapt to market conditions, invest in new equipment, or even relocate. The long run is about planning for the future and making big changes that aren't possible in the short run. Key difference between the short run and long run is the distinction between fixed and variable inputs. Fixed inputs, like buildings or machinery, can't be changed quickly. Variable inputs, such as labor or materials, can be adjusted more easily. In the short run, firms work within these constraints, while in the long run, they can change both types of inputs. Imagine a small bakery. In the short run, the bakery can hire more bakers or buy extra flour to meet a sudden increase in demand. However, it can't quickly expand its kitchen or buy new ovens. In the long run, the bakery could move to a bigger location or invest in new equipment, allowing it to produce much more bread and pastries. Short-term production is limited by fixed resources. This means businesses can only do so much to increase output quickly. For example, if demand spikes, a factory might add extra shifts or use overtime, but it can't instantly build a new assembly line. These constraints often lead to higher costs as firms try to squeeze more output from their existing resources. In the long run, businesses have the flexibility to make significant changes. They can build new factories, adopt new technologies, or change their product lines entirely. This flexibility allows firms to respond to long-term trends and opportunities, making them more competitive and efficient over time. Short-term production function shows the relationship between variable inputs like labor and output, holding at least one input fixed. For example, adding more workers to a fixed-size kitchen increases output, but only up to a point. Eventually, adding more workers leads to overcrowding and less efficiency, a concept known as diminishing returns. Law of diminishing returns states that as more units of a variable input are added to fixed inputs, the additional output from each new unit eventually decreases. In our bakery example, hiring more bakers in the same kitchen eventually leads to less additional bread per baker, because space and equipment become limiting factors. In the long run, the production function allows all inputs to change. Businesses can expand their facilities, hire more workers, and invest in better technology. This means they can achieve higher levels of output and efficiency and even change the way they produce goods entirely. One advantage of long-run flexibility is economies of scale. As firms grow and expand production, their average costs per unit often decrease. This happens because larger operations can spread fixed costs over more units, buy inputs in bulk, and use more efficient technology. Economies of scale help big companies stay competitive. However, growing too large can also lead to diseconomies of scale. When firms become too big, they may face higher costs due to complexity, communication problems, or inefficiency. It's important for businesses to find the right balance between growing and staying efficient. In the short run, costs are divided into fixed and variable costs. Fixed costs like rent or equipment don't change with output. Variable costs such as wages or materials increase as production rises. Understanding this helps businesses plan for profitability and manage cash flow. In the long run, all costs are variable. Firms can change every aspect of their operations, from the size of their plant to the number of workers. This allows them to seek the lowest possible cost for any level of output, making long-term planning crucial for success. In the short run, businesses focus on making the most of their existing resources. They might adjust work schedules, increase overtime, or use temporary workers to meet changes in demand. These decisions are about maximizing output and minimizing costs within current constraints. Long-run decisions involve bigger changes like investing in new technology, expanding facilities, or entering new markets. These choices require careful planning and often involve significant investment. The goal is to position the business for future growth and competitiveness. The short-run supply curve shows how much a firm is willing to produce at different prices, given its fixed resources. It's typically upward sloping, meaning higher prices encourage more production, but only up to the limits of current capacity. In the long run, the supply curve reflects the ability of firms to enter or exit the market and adjust all inputs. This means the industry can respond more fully to changes in demand, leading to a more elastic supply curve over time. In the short run, firms can earn profits or suffer losses depending on market conditions and their cost structure. Because some costs are fixed, businesses may continue operating even if they're not covering all costs as long as they can pay their variable costs. Over the long run, firms can enter or exit the market based on profitability. If profits are high, new firms will enter, increasing supply and driving prices down. If losses persist, some firms will exit, reducing supply and raising prices. This adjustment leads to a stable, competitive market. If a firm can't cover its variable costs in the short run, it may decide to temporarily shut down. This is a tough decision, but sometimes it's better to pause production than to operate at a loss. Fixed costs still need to be paid, but shutting down limits further losses. In the long run, if a business can't make a profit, it will exit the market entirely. This frees up resources for more productive uses elsewhere in the economy. The long-run perspective ensures that only the most efficient firms survive. Short-run planning is about making the best use of current resources, while long-run planning is about preparing for future opportunities and challenges. Both are essential for business success, and understanding the difference helps managers make better decisions. Production decisions affect employees too. In the short run, workers may face overtime or temporary layoffs. In the long run, new investments can create jobs or require new skills. Businesses need to communicate clearly with their teams during these changes. Advances in technology can change both short-run and long-run production. In the short run, new tools can boost productivity. In the long run, automation or digitalization can transform entire industries, making some jobs obsolete and creating new ones. Production decisions also impact the environment. In the short run, firms may focus on meeting demand, but in the long run, they can invest in cleaner technology and sustainable practices. Balancing profit and responsibility is a growing priority for businesses worldwide. The car industry is a great example of short-run and long-run production. In the short run, automakers adjust shifts and inventory to meet sales. In the long run, they invest in new factories, electric vehicles, and automation to stay competitive in a changing market. To wrap up, understanding the difference between short-run and long-run production is essential for making smart business decisions. The short run is about working within current limits, while the long run is about planning for growth and change. Both perspectives help businesses adapt, compete, and thrive in a dynamic economy.